All right, everyone, time for some statements on the Canadian election regarding Ontario. It looks like the Liberals have been basically wiped out in Canada. Now the Conservatives basically control everything. Guess who? Guess who's running the show now as premier? It's Doug Ford. That is Rob Ford's brother. Yeah, this liberal stronghold is now run by the potential drug dealing brother of a literal crack smoking mayor who several times physically assaulted people or threatened to do so. It's really, really funny. The liberal movement up there is so weak and so impotent and so poorly received that this dude is considered viable as the leader of this particular political movement. It was a red wave. Canada has had its own miniaturized version of what I think is likely to come in 2020, which is, again, another wiping out of the Democratic Party if they don't reform themselves. And right now, they're being continuously pulled to the left. And they know that if they go left, they lose. If they stay neoliberal, they schism, they probably lose. Their party fractures. Pelosi doesn't know how to deal with this. Tom Perez doesn't know how to deal with this. All the Obamas in the world couldn't put Humpty Dumpty back together again at this point. They've fallen off a fucking cliff, not just a wall. And up in Canada, it looks like the same thing happens. Look, you've got these liberal parties, and it's the same facet we're seeing in Europe. The right and the left are growing. Now, in a two-party system like in the US, that means one of those parties has to schism or a third party becomes viable. The latter hasn't fully happened yet, although it's kind of happened. Both the Greens and Libertarians skyrocketed last election. Libertarian Party is still holding on to a lot of those numbers. I wouldn't be surprised to see 3 or 4% vote share for the Libertarians again this next election. It could be higher, it could be double digits. You could see a technically viable third party. The Green Party will probably grow. They'll probably double their vote share to several million people. You've got the Bernie Sanders left ripping a chunk off of the Democratic Party here. In Canada, where you've also got, I think it's called the NDP, you have more than two parties up there that are technically viable. It looks like no one was able to challenge the Conservatives. Now, show a Conservative Party. In Canada isn't necessarily conservative in the sense of the United States. There are certain issues that cross over and there are certain that don't. I believe that one of his main platforms is wanting to restrict government bureaucracy and reduce taxes. I have a hazard a guess. He's not a moralist conservative, the kind that's going to say, oh, we need a better drug war here in Canada. We need to crack down on these potheads. I don't think that that's likely to happen. Might make your conservative movement, by the way, more palatable to younger voters when this particular individual is the one leading you. Yeah, that makes sense. It's like here, the conservative movement, so-called, is run by basically a Manhattan Democrat, which is Donald Trump. Makes it a bit more palatable. He's might be signing off on legislation authored by the Democrats, no less, with regards to marijuana. That's the big issue of the day, actually. For me, that's a win for Trump. Up there, you've got your own issues, but it's funny because I remember Rob Ford. I remember when he went viral because he's the crack-smoking mayor. I thought the dude sounds hilarious. I mean, it's a testament to the fortitude of man that a literal drunken crack smoker can lead things and actually do a tolerably good job. It's sort of like Schwarzenegger. Something you get these oddballs in politics, and they're always considered they're not viable, they're flawed, they're criminals in some cases. They always seem to do a better job than the so-called mainstream politicians, the ones that put on the monkey suit and say what you want to hear, basically. So you've got Arnold Schwarzenegger, was by all means a fairly good governor. Jesse Ventura, good governor. Donald Trump, he's doing a fine job. He's got no political experience at all, and he talks about his dick size on stage, and he's a better president than we've had since Ronald Reagan. So yeah, Doug Ford will probably do great things. He'll probably be quite popular, and he'll hold on to his position for quite some time. Canada has a red wave. It's a harbinger of what's to come. Here, look, Canada is held up on a standard, as a standard, by people here who are liberals. And I don't know if all Canadians know this. The left here in the U.S. looks to you as a model for basically everything other than guns. On guns, they look at Germany or France or something, which is, ridiculous, but they do. They say, well, we need to be more like Canada in every possible way. Okay, yeah, let's our next president should smoke crack. I think he should be obese and smoke crack and insult his opponents constantly. So basically, he should be 20 pounds heavier Trump if he were not a teetotaler. Trump basically is. Other than the caffeine, he sucks down Coca-Cola all day. I think he's like a Coca-Cola dude, if I remember correctly. He should stop that, by the way. It's not good for him. He needed to start drinking Red Bull. It's so much tastier. It's probably better for you. Marginally, maybe. Who knows? So I wish Doug Ford well. Hopefully he governs for a long time. If he's anything like his brother, he'll do a good job. He'll probably be maybe he becomes like, I don't know, prime minister or something. I don't know how your elections fully work up there. But it was a red wave. The Liberals literally lost official party status. And Vice is having like a meltdown over this. Like, oh my God, we should have seen this guy. Shame on the millennials. They didn't vote enough. Only 53% turnout. Yeah, it's higher than it has been for years, but, it should have been more, and you should voted the wrong way. And it's terrible, and we're going to suffer because of this. It's like, it's hilarious. It was especially hilarious in their article where they're pointing out the fact that he's a possible drug dealer. It's like, why the fuck do you care, dude? You're supposedly the left are the ones that are like, 420 blaze it. People shouldn't be incarcerated for simple possession. So, don't get all moralistic on us. I know that the left in the Western world is becoming more moralistic. They're being forced to become total authoritarians, which they're the pro-war movement now. They're pro-surveillance, pro-censorship. They're the ones that say bake the fucking cake. Basically, fuck you, do as we say, not as we do. We're going to live in our gated communities and have orgies, but you're going to be like, you're the pros, basically. It's a little bit like Metropolis or something. That's about all. Peace out.